everybody. I'm Katie.
And I'm Becky.
And I'm Rebekah.
And this is Live, Laugh, Lorcana. Today we are joined with Rebekah of Lorcana Illumineer. You know her from her Instagram content, being co-host on Vox Lorcana and Disney Lorcana Challenge caster. However you recognize her, she's bringing feel-good, accessible content for wherever you are in your Lorcana journey. Welcome, Rebekah.
Yay. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I love Live, Laugh, Lorcana. So always a joy to talk with you guys.
Yeah. Also, friend of the show. Cannot be overstated, really.
Also, our first repeat guest. So very exciting.
That's true.
Yeah.
First repeat guest. Whoop, whoop. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. So, of course, everyone wants the tea on you because let's talk casting. You were on the casting team for the first two Disney Lorcana Challenges in North America. I know some of our listeners are newer to TCGs and the concept of casted games might be new to them. Can you kind of talk about the role as a caster in these events?
Yeah. So casting was honestly kind of a new concept to me as well. I'm not someone who's been really involved in TCGs and commentary, but I learned through this whole process that this is something that you see in a lot of TCG games out there, where with big tournaments or even smaller tournaments at the local level, depending that they will have commentators that, just like watching any other event like sports event or the Olympics, that there will be casters talking about the games and what's going on and commentating on it and asking questions and talking about the strategy and all of that. And so that's what I got to be a part of, was doing commentary on both the Atlanta remotely and then in person for the Chicago Disney Lorcana Challenge, being a part of the casting team and doing the commentary for the featured games for both of those events, which was an incredible experience, both remotely and in person, which I know we'll talk about the difference. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to be a part of it.
Yeah. And if you haven't actually watched the streams from these events, I would highly recommend that you go do so. I know before I started playing TCGs, I would see my husband watching card games on TV and I'd be like, what are you doing? But once I actually started playing them, it's I realized how much you could learn from watching these streams and watching high level players play. So and having the casters there to explain to you what is going on is so awesome, and also really pulls you in because you guys are so fun and you talk about Disney and it's great.
Yeah, I learned a lot just watching, and I was not brought in, I don't think, for my in-depth strategy analysis of the game, being a more casual player. But being able to see what's going on and then ask questions of my, casting partner to say hey, this is what I see. Why, was that the right decision here? Or what do you think about that? Or why would they have made this choice instead of to play this card instead of that card that was in their hand? And really asking the questions that people at home watching might be asking themselves. And so bringing those questions up. So then my casting partner, who has more of that analytical strategy, can kind of answer that for the audience and the people that are watching, and for me. And then we all learn together. So yeah, kind of fun to be, a little bit of a voice for the community out there that might be wondering what these moves are all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they move so fast too.
They do.
Move so
you
fast.
See some really fast play. It's awesome to watch everybody keep up with it. But even times casters will be like, what did they think? And they're like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Missed that.
I know. I wish that we could catch everything, but we are human. And, we're actually watching the games, on a screen as well. It's big, it's a big screen, but it's just a screen, just like you would be watching at home, on your TV. And we're talking and we're looking at each other, even when I was in person. And so we try to catch everything that we can, but we miss some things.
Expected. Is casting something you had been interested in before you got the opportunity to cast Atlanta? Why not?
It was not something that I had really thought about a lot. And then it got brought up at some point, people were talking about like, oh, they're probably going to have at some point like casting for events. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I probably would never be the person that would be picked for something like that. And so I didn't really think much of it. And then I was approached for the opportunity, and they did say, like, we're not expecting you to be that analytical person. So, hey, I bring the Disney flavor. And I am so thankful, grateful, humbled that I was given this opportunity, but it was not something that I had sought out or been seeking. I know that there's a lot of people in the community that casting and commentating a TCG at this level is something that they are like aspiring to. So it is a little, I don't know, funky that I ended up here because I was not seeking it out. But I think it's really great that Disney Lorcana sees the value in having someone like me to be on the casting team who is not a super highly competitive, strategic minded person, but that there's, the audience and the player base for Lorcana is comprised of so many different types of players. And so I kind of represent one segment of the player base by being part of the team. So it really shows that Ravensburger is really intentional about wanting to have that representation of more casual play at these events and not just the competitive players.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really amazing and wonderful to kind of see that happen. And you've absolutely flourished, and you're doing such an amazing job. And I'm so proud of you. You're such a natural. It's almost funny because it feels like maybe it wasn't on your radar, but like they saw something in you, and like we see it too. And like, yeah,
Thank you.
because like I didn't necessarily like think of you to cast, but like once I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's magic. That was the move.
Thank you.
That's so funny because I did think of Rebekah to cast because after it was announced Rebekah was casting, I went back to check my DMs with her and I found a DM of me trying to talk her into being a caster at a time. I'm quite sure she had already agreed to it. I'm thinking you already agreed to it at that time. But I was like, Rebekah, I just really think that you should be a caster for Lorcana. I think you'd be so perfect.
You were. I know. Katie was like, you should do it. It would be perfect. And it's so funny that, and I know that we're going to talk about this a little bit, but I think are some things in my background that have kind of helped lend to some of my falling a little bit more naturally into it, even though it wasn't something that I was aspiring to, that some of the skills and background that I have really, made it possible for me to kind of jump right in there and feel fairly comfortable. I will say I was very nervous at Atlanta in the first one, though. I definitely went in with some stage fright.
Understandable.
Yeah, because you have like a theater background.
I do. Yeah. So, I mean, I started doing theater when I was 9. And I did dance before then. And I went, that's what I graduated theater with, was with a theater degree. And then I was performing like semi-professionally, even as an adult, up until I had kids, really. And so being comfortable in front of an audience, in front of people, even though this is, on camera, it's still, in my mind, I kind of go into that mindset of that there's people on the other side of that camera. So even though I can't see them, it's very much like a quote unquote performance, so to speak. Being on camera is like being on a stage. And so having that theater background and feeling comfortable in that kind of space, I think really has helped. And then also, I think being able to lean on some of like improv skills from theater background too, and being able to like think quickly on your feet and respond in the moment to what's happening around you. And when things kind of go amiss, that you just like roll with it and you pick it up to keep going. And so a lot of those skills that I learned from being in theater, I think have come in super, super handy with jumping into this commentary role.
I can see that.
Did you do much improv when you did theater?
I did some when I was in high school and a little bit in college, but not professionally. It was not something that I really like doing. I mostly did musical theater, and so there's not a lot of improv in musicals. But I also think that because I loved musicals so much is also why I love Disney so much, because so many of their animated films are musicals and the music is great. It's great, great music. So,
My favorite part of Disney is the music for sure.
Absolutely.
yeah.
it's
Yes.
good.
I did break out into song on casting just a couple times.
I love that. Dude, anytime somebody makes a Disney reference in those streams, I get so excited, but especially the singing.
Okay. Here's a funny story is I think it was during Chicago. I forget if it was day 1 or day 2, probably day 1. And Liam and John T were on the remote virtual casting team and Brandon and I were on site. And someone on the production team made a remark saying how many Disney puns that Liam was doing whenever they came on camera. And so I was like, I cannot be outdone.
I cannot be out Disney.
I cannot be out Disney pun. And so I started throwing in so many extra more Disney things and puns throughout the rest of the day. And Liam sent me a message and he's like, hey, I noticed all your cool puns. Like,
so
yes.
funny. That's awesome.
We need a Disney pun tracker, on the
at home. Somebody can do that.
I was gonna say, if somebody's looking to be a Lorcana CC, this is your idea. Please take it.
There you go. Yes.
You mentioned kind of representing for the more casual player, which, Rebekah, let's not undersell you. You're an incredible player. Everyone says so.
Thank you.
But also great representation for women as well. We loved seeing you up there. It's such an important thing. We talk about, representation in games and seeing players, that look like you and how important that is to make you feel comfortable and stuff. And so seeing you on the casting panel was amazing and really wonderful.
Thank you. I think I forget sometimes how impactful representation is in any space. And you can't underestimate the power of representation. And especially in a space like TCGs that is so male dominated. And this is such a, being a part of the Disney Lorcana Challenge casting team is a very highlighted, role. And so for them to intentionally, the team at Ravensburger intentionally ask me to be a part of that in such a, highlighted space, I think that can't be underestimated. The power of other women, of young girls who are playing this game, to see a woman in that space, the value of that cannot be measured. There's a dad and daughter who play at our local league, and he was telling me when his daughter found out that I was doing this, she was like, that is so cool, and she's 11, and so Daniel and Lily from Lorcana Fanatics, that he said, it's so neat that Lily has all these women to look up to in the Lorcana space, and not just content creators, but casters and all these different things. I don't know. I just think there's so much power in representation, and it can't be understated or overstated. You can't overstate how important that is. And I hope that we see more of it. And I think that we will. I think just having one woman up there is great, but let's have some more, and let's have some people of color, and more representation, I think, is, as time goes on, will be really, really, really wonderful.
Absolutely. And coming from Flesh and Blood, almost all of the streams, especially the American streams, were always all men. So I never thought...
Were they always? They were always all men?
Almost all the American ones were. There is one caster in Europe who is a woman. So usually the European cast would have her on there, but most of the American ones were all male.
Do you know about any other games like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon? Are there a lot of female casters in those spaces that you know of? I don't even know. I haven't looked.
My husband watches a lot of streams. I did ask him about this. I believe Pokemon's pretty good with including a lot of women in their stream. Magic usually has, at least one. Like they don't typically do all men's streams, but
that's good. Well, Disney Lorcana, I think we'll get there. I mean, already people tell me, and you guys have said it too, like in Coming from Flesh and Blood, that already Lorcana has a way more diverse player base than a lot of other TCGs. So it's only a matter of time. And as more people, come up, as content creators or highly competitive players, I want to see a woman who's casting in that strategic analytic role, like I'm here like in the more like color commentator role, I guess, but it's like, let's get a woman up here who can like really dive in and talk about the strategy and the cards and everything from that aspect. And it'll happen. It will get there.
Absolutely. Well, that's the other thing. Like, it is such a diverse player base comparatively, and it's like, we're getting them, but like we got to keep them. So we gotta keep, showing that like we care about this community and we want to nurture it and foster it, all that kind of stuff. So, and I think Ravensburger is doing just a really, really, really solid job in making this a priority for them, and it means so much to so many people.
Well, and that's why representation does matter. Like, right? So when you see someone like yourself reflected at all different levels, even having, people that work on the game, Disney Lorcana at Ravensburger, that there's women that are there leading the charge with the game is great. I'm doing casting. That's great. And we need to get some women up there on the podium winning the Lorcana Challenges. And so having, when people come into the game, having to see themselves reflected at all different levels helps keep them continuing in the game.
Yeah.
So back to your journey, you haven't casted like any events before Atlanta,
I have
right?
not.
Okay.
No.
So how did you prepare for casting for the first time?
Okay, so it was very silly, but I did find a YouTube game or two and that had been recorded and just like talked to myself through the game. Like I muted it and let it play and just like talked along with what was going on in the game. And it was so awkward to just do that by myself. But that did help to like just kind of get an idea of like, oh, like when you see something, how would I respond to it in the moment? And I did that like once or twice, but that was it as far as like practicing. But the main thing that I did to prepare really was I looked up a lot of information about like what were the like most popular meta decks that I would most likely see playing, and looking at the deck list, what cards I would be most likely to see a lot so I could be really familiar with them. And knowing like the stats of those cards, like a little bit more by memory. And I really, the bulk of my preparation was just being familiar with the cards and the deck combos that I would be most likely to see. And that really did come in really handy. And I even, I read some articles and watched some videos about the strategy, even though I wasn't necessarily there to be the strategic voice, but just so that I could have an understanding of what the strategy would be, and that it would help me even to know what kinds of questions to ask while I was watching the games played. So most of my preparation was just in understanding the current state of the game. And that was the same actually for Chicago too. Like I did that for Atlanta, and then because from Atlanta to Chicago, we had the new set come out. And so then I did the same thing. It was a lot of, now what's changed? Now what decks are we going to see? So that it was the same thing leading up to Chicago as well.
Yeah, that was a fast turnaround time. You had to learn a new meta, feel comfortable talking about it.
2 weeks? I think it was 2 weeks.
Yeah, yes. Very fast.
Luckily, there's lots of people out there writing articles and making videos about that kind of stuff. So lots of content and resources that I can go to, which is really great.
Yeah, so you had casted Atlanta remotely, but then you casted Chicago in person. So Cameron, Lorcana curator, asked, how different was the experience between live in person versus casting remotely?
It was in some ways similar, but in most ways very different.
I could imagine.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching on a screen in both cases, but remotely I'm here I have like a little home office and I'm at my desk by myself and I'm watching the cast the recording on the screen, and then I had my casting partner also on the screen, but I actually didn't see Jonty on the screen. So we were just watching the game only and couldn't see each other's faces. So I think you lose something there because you're not interacting with your casting partner as much. And then also just being kind of, on your own away from the event itself, is very different. When I was there in Chicago, like being in the room where it happens, to
Mhm.
quote Hamilton, is such a different vibe. It's like you feed off the energy of everyone else who's there, the players, the event staff, production staff, and everything. There's just so much excitement. And that's just something that you don't have when you're remote. And so that definitely feeds into the whole experience and the energy levels that we have when we're casting and talking about things. And I think helps really bring people who are watching more into the experience of the event, because we can kind of just even through our own energy kind of project the energy of the event onto camera, which is not something that we can. It's like you have to, when I was remote, you kind of have to like manufacture your own like energy from somewhere, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because you're
Absolutely.
not getting it from the people around you. And then also, I think just the biggest difference for me was being able to cast, literally sitting next to Brandon, who was very tall next to me.
That's the
I
rumor.
asked,
Brandon's very tall.
I I asked for a booster seat because I was like, he looks so much taller than me. um, they did not give me a pillow to sit on or anything. So but we did ask for one. No, but just being able to sit next to Brandon and look at each other, and you read somebody's nonverbals as well as what they're saying. And it was just a lot more natural, I think, because really that's kind of what, being part of a commentary, like pairing like that, it is like you're having a conversation with each other about this thing that's going on and doing a lot of back and forth, bouncing in that conversation. And so being able to be like present with that person just made it a lot more natural. And also there's like the technology stuff. There's less chance that you're going to like talk over the other person, because you can see their face and if their mouth is moving or not. So I mean, I loved doing it in person. It is it is a marathon. It is
Mhm.
mentally exhausting. It is even physically exhausting, even though you're just sitting all day. It's a long day. And being at home was kind of nice that I could just like in between rounds go crash, on my couch or on my bed or whatever. But I would gladly trade that for being in the room where the event is happening, even though you don't have some of those cushy, in between times. I think there's just so much more benefit to being in person. But if Ravensburger is listening, I would happily do a commentary either way. Either way, being a part of the event remotely was still a very cool experience. And I do like that they have the two teams to kind of like bounce back and forth. And it brings some variety for people watching. You get to hear some different voices throughout the day. So I do think there's some benefit there. But yeah, you can't replace the energy and excitement and all of that that comes from being at the event in person.
I will say, as a viewer, I was surprised they did remote casting at all. Just because I don't typically see it at big official events like this, and I have to say, I don't really care for it, and I wish they would stop because I feel like the difference in energy is palpable between the casters and also just like what you were talking about being at the event. Like I like feeling like my casters are a window to the event. I think that's really important.
Mhm.
So I would love to see them do all live casting. I don't know if there's a lot of overhead between switching out, like if both teams were on site. I don't know how much their overhead there is in switching them out, but I'd love it for it to
Right.
all be on site.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be fun. I mean, I think that'd be fun.
Sure.
And then you could like switch out and you could even like switch up pairings a little bit too, you know,
Oh yeah, that would
and
be really
throughout the
cool.
day. So yeah, it would be fun if everyone was on site. I still have yet to meet Liam in person, so hopefully we'll
Right?
both be on site together at some point.
Yeah, hopefully. That would be nice.
Uh, but to your point, Rebecca, I was shocked in Chicago when it did seem like a marathon because we were in Chicago, but every time you were off casting, you were like bopping around, talking to people, making videos. I'm like, this girl's crazy.
This girl's crazy. This is the extrovert in me, right? Like just like people feeding my energy levels. And then at the end of the day, I'm just like out. The most important thing, honestly, was having snacks with me all day long. Like I needed to be fed. Like otherwise I would not have made it through.
That makes sense. Yeah. You constant fuel.
You even produced a reel in
I
between
know.
your casting. I'm like, what?
I did. Even Brandon was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just making real." He's like, "How do you do that?" Like, I don't know. My brain goes like a million miles a minute sometimes, and I get an idea and I have to do it. So
Funny.
She's pro, folks.
She's a pro.
Got to take every opportunity, I guess. Do it for the gram.
It's for the gram.
Okay, so can we talk about streaming logistics a little? Because if you walk through the streaming area in Chicago, it's like there's 4 tables, and like,
Yeah.
why were there 4 tables? How were people chosen for this area? Like, and how did they, once they were in the area, choose what was streamed? Can you talk about that at all?
So I do not even know how they choose players to get in the featured matches. So that's what they call them, is featured matches. And they typically will have 2 cameras or 2 games on camera for each round, but they call 4 groups in, 4 pairings, because they give the 2 that they have chosen to be on camera, if there's somebody who doesn't want to be on camera for any reason, that they're not required to be on camera. And so then they have the 2 other pairings there that can swap in. But then if, whoever's of the 2 pairings that aren't chosen to be on camera, they still get to be in the featured area. It's kind of like you were still called down here, so you get to still play in this room, and have kind of that cool experience. So yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because just walking past the room, you could like peek in and like watch what they were doing and stuff, which was really neat. And like I wasn't there Sunday, but I heard like as the day goes on, there's just more people like kind of
Yes.
crowding the hallway, like looking in, trying to catch a glimpse of what's going on.
On day 2, as the day went on and you're getting down to like the quarterfinals and semifinals, it was like, yeah, tons of people just like crowded around the entry to that featured area space to like watch the players and their games. And everyone's just, it's like it was like people watching golf, everyone's very quiet and like watching what's going on. Yeah. It's really neat to be in there. And it was so cool. There were some people that I knew that got to be in the feature match area on camera and off at the extra tables. And so it was really neat to see that.
Awesome. Did you like, how much information do you get before the games? Do you get to see deck lists, any info on the players, or like, do you know how it's going to go ahead of time?
What's coming?
Yeah.
No, we do not know results. We pretty much not pretty much. We only have access to public information, and actually sometimes even less than that, because if people don't know, the games are recorded. And so our casting is live, but the games were recorded previously. And so we're actually behind like a round or sometimes 2 rounds earlier in the day. And so I try to stay off social media so that I don't see people's results, because a lot of players are like posting their progress like on Twitter and stuff. Or you can go log into Melee, each round and you see what's being updated for who won the games. So I stay off of all that. So I don't know any results. We do see deck lists on day 2 because they're public. And so all the players can see them. And so we do get to see the deck lists on day 2. The only other information that we'll have on players is like the points that they've earned up to that point during the day, and sometimes the team will let us know like, oh, this person is like, they're still undefeated, at this point. But that's all public information, but we don't get anything besides that. And what's interesting with not having deck lists too is you're just like, what's it going to be? What cards are we going to see? We don't know until they start playing. And then it's like, oh, that's what they're playing. Okay. So I have a little notepad, while we're watching so I can like take notes and remember what's going on.
Oh, nice.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I feel like it's so much harder without seeing the deck list to know what their game plan is. And if you don't know what their game plan is, it's so hard to cast, I have to think.
I feel like makes almost Rebekah's job a little easier because she doesn't know what is going to be played either. So she'll be like, as the color commentator, be like, well, but what do we think the plan is?
Yeah. What do you think they're going to do? I mean, I don't know. I feel like because I did study up on the list and everything, you kind of know-ish like what's going on. Like once you see like, oh, it's this color combination, this ink pairing, then you kind of know what the general strategy of something will be and what cards you're likely to see. Like, oh, this is, whatever, Ruby Sapphire.
Within the first 3 turns, you can kind of like if they're playing something like a standard meta deck, you're like, oh, exactly. I see where this is going.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't get any Jiminy Cricket decks like they did in Atlanta that like took Brandon and Liam by surprise. So like, wait, is that Fairy Godmother?
I haven't seen her in a while.
Yes. But yeah, it's fun because really it's like we're watching the game unfold the same as the viewers are, which might stress some people out, I guess. But, you just roll with it.
Yeah. So that's a hard thing about casting. What would you say is the hardest thing about casting?
That's a good question. I think, yeah, the mental fatigue, I think, is the hardest thing for me. Like, there are 9 rounds on day 1. And then how many are on day 2? Is it 6 rounds? Because it's 64, 32, 16, 8, 4. Yeah, 2. So 6 rounds on day 2. And when you get like towards the end of the day, because we do have breaks. The way that they've structured it, if you've watched the streams, is they'll bounce back and forth between the 2 casting teams. So you get a break in between, but you're talking the whole time and you're thinking the whole time, and trying to figure out like what's going on and what could be happening, thinking of questions to ask, talking about the cards, and sometimes you've seen the same deck multiple times and you have to think of like, what's something new that we can talk about, that we haven't said before about this, and, oh, what are some like things that I can talk about with the characters in the movies, to bring in some of the Disney stuff. So it's just a lot of thinking. And after many, many rounds and hours of that, like you kind of, that's why snacks are so important.
Yes.
Because you will hit like a mental wall. It's like, if you work, a very mentally hard job, it's like you get that like 2:00 where you like hit the wall, staring at your computer screen and you need a break and a snack or whatever. Like it's the same thing. Like, and when I casted in Atlanta, I kind of did hit a little bit of a wall and I was like, oh, I definitely need like some hearty snacks, like not just like I need like some fruit and some meat like protein to like feed my brain, like because the mental fatigue that was just something that I didn't know. I didn't know going into it that that's what the experience was going to be like as a commentator. And so that I think was one of the hardest things, but now I know. So if I'm given the opportunity to cast again, then I know how to take care of myself to, get through those little like roadblocks and stuff with the mental fatigue. But yeah, it's so interesting because you don't think about that. Well, and actually, I guess like in Katie, you probably would say this even like from a player standpoint, that's something that players deal with over a long day. Like that is mental fatigue.
Oh yeah.
So it's a really similar thing, I think.
It's similar, but oh my gosh, casting is so much harder. I feel like if you've only ever watched casting, you might think it's easy. Like, I have to tell you how hard this is for people listening. And I like knew it was hard because I know some of the flesh and blood casters and they talk about how hard it is, but like, Becky's interested in casting. So I'm like, okay, I'll practice casting with you one time. I did this and it's not for me. It is so hard. It is so hard to watch the game and listen to your co-caster. That to me was the hardest part. You need so much focus on not just the game, but also what your co-caster is, and also thinking of your next thing to say, and also making sure you're using all the right terminology, and also like asking the right questions and remembering what cards do. And like, it is so hard because I practiced once with Becky, and after that I'm like, you know what, you can practice with my husband. So she's been practicing with my husband a bit because he likes it. He likes to talk about the game, but it's hard. Like, I don't know if people realize how hard it is.
I wonder like if there's something to be said for like, I don't know. I feel I am not diagnosed as ADD or anything, but like my brain is just always going like a million different places a minute, right? And I don't know if there's something to being able to like have that, like being able to like quickly, because you can't focus on like multiple things all at the same time, but being able to like quickly shift your focus between listening and looking and thinking and listening and looking and listening and thinking like quickly, like does come more naturally to me than I think maybe it would for other people whose brains like don't work in that way. And so maybe I didn't even like, to me, I'm like, oh, that wasn't actually the hardest part for me. Like all of that going on, it just is like, you jump in and I'm like, oh yeah, all these like moving parts and you just like, it's like the one-man band, like,
Like Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
But exactly.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, you can isolate all those different little stimuli that are coming at you and like get the whole picture very easily. I like that.
Yeah.
Becky, you are diagnosed ADHD. Do you find it easier to pay attention, like split your attention between the two things?
I don't really notice, so I guess so.
I guess so. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, it's like not something that I consciously was even aware of doing. It was just like doing it. I don't know. That sounds so weird though. I have an inner Dick Van Dyke at work with the tambourine and
isn't he
the drums.
Incredible at the age?
He's amazing.
Dick Van Dyke is amazing person.
Like star. He's like legendary.
Honestly.
Yes.
I keep meaning to read his autobiography because he narrates it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I would love to hear Dick Van Dyke tell me about his life. That sounds amazing.
Yes. That is amazing.
But anyway, what is your favorite thing about casting?
Just getting to like talk about Lorcana all day.
Yeah.
I get really excited talking about Lorcana. That's why I make content, is because I love this game. I think it's so much fun. I love talking about it. I love playing it. And so I just get excited and like pumped up to like talk about the game and watch people play the game. And so that, and then to be in a room and talk with somebody else, and share it with the people who are watching that all feel the same way and are just like so excited and passionate about this game. That's like the best part about the whole thing, is that it's like this shared experience of everyone who is just like so excited about this silly, not silly, but it's a Disney card game. And in the grand scheme of life, is it like, the most important thing? No, maybe, but also yes, at the same time. And so it's like, it brings so much joy to people's lives. And so here we are, like doing something all together, and I get to be a part of that. And so that's just the most fun and my favorite part of casting, is just being able to bring that excitement and passion that I have for the game and share it with everyone who's watching and everyone who's in the room, talking to the players and different people in between rounds. Like, it's just such a cool experience.
I love that. I feel like we can feel that in the audience.
Yay.
Love it.
So would you say you prefer casting to playing in like these kind of tournaments?
Oh, yes. There's no hesitation there. I played in the set championships for the Stitch, and it was really stressful for me. Like, it was like gave me a lot of anxiety, and it takes a lot more mental effort, I think, for me to try to go in as a competitive player. And I know that I have some good skills, and I've become a better player. And so I don't say that to like discount the kind of like how good of a player I am, but it is a lot more stressful to do that. And this is just more fun for me. And I don't know, I just feel like it's a more like better fit maybe than trying for me and where I am in my stage of life and how much time I have, like I'm not in a place where I'm like, yes, I want to be like a super competitive Lorcana player and like get all the points and try to like get to the top and make it to day 2. Like, that's just not like where I am as a player. And there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe someday I will want to be that. But for now, I think casting is so wonderful and so fun. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity to do it. And I'm so happy that the community seems to have like responded well to me being up there and seeing some of the positive feedback. Like, literally, like my heart just is like, it explodes. Like, I've had people like say some of the nicest comments to me, and very humbled that even you guys like have said some of the nicest things. And I'm so whatever, #blessed to like be given this opportunity. And like I said, it's just really cool to share this love that we have for the game. And I feel like I'm better able to do that in this way. And, I think that going back even to like the representation piece of it, I think it's really cool that I can, as somebody who's not in a space right now where I'm trying to be a super competitive player, that I am a little bit more representing the more casual side and still bringing like the same level of excitement that the competitive players have for this event. I had somebody who is like a full-blown like Disney adult who has never played a TCG in his life. I know him locally, and Lorcana is his first TCG, and he's like everything that you like think of with Disney adults. Like, he is that. And he was like, I was watching the Disney Lorcana Challenge stream with you on it. Like, and that's just so cool that somebody who never has touched a card game before, is just like a Disney fan, was like, I watched this like live stream of this tournament event. Like, how cool is that? It's awesome.
Really, really cool.
Yes, yeah. I mean, a big part of these streams for any game is kind of part advertisement. You want people to like be like, oh, what's this Lorcana game, and tune in and get hooked. And that's why it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rebekah really provides that kind of like gateway to the magic kind of thing. I mean, that's like like Rebekah's entire thing. Like
Yeah,
like all of her Instagram content is like, let me show you this super cool thing. I'm really jazzed about it. I think you will be too. And she brings that exact energy to casting, and it's just really great and absolutely representing the brand and everything, just like really beautifully. Nobody asked my opinion, but we see it and we say it.
Thank you. I mean, really, one of the reasons why I started my Instagram account to begin with was because I wanted the game to feel accessible to people who were newer to TCGs and were Disney fans and were like, oh, I like Disney. What is that? Like, that was one of the whole reasons why I started this, was because I knew that there were people out there who would love this game if they knew just like a little bit more about it, you know? And so, and if they saw just a little bit of like, oh, this is this fun thing. And if they knew just like a little bit, that they'd be like, okay, tell me more. So really, I think that that's kind of been my philosophy, I guess, so to speak, from the beginning, is there's this thing, you're going to love it. Come along.
Yeah. Beautiful. We have some listener questions for you, Rebekah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
They aren't
Let's
rapid
go.
fire or anything. I'm
Okay.
excited. Josh asks, if you could cast with anyone throughout the Lorcana world or all of history, who would it be? That's a lot. That's a lot to think of. That's a lot of
That
people.
is
a lot of
that is a
things.
lot of people. And you did give me this question beforehand, and my immediate thought, which is the answer I'm going to go with, because I think that she would be so fun and it would be the best casting duo, is because she has the most fun in Lorcana, is Minnie Mouse.
Ah, good answer. Yeah.
Really good answer.
I mean, right? Like, she's having the most fun, and I think that she would bring some flavor to the casting for sure. So that is my answer.
She really can do it all. You know, she's going to be great at it. She does it all.
Yes.
Christina Richard asks, I make a lot of reels and stuff to promote my small business. So I'm very curious because I know how long it takes me to stumble through the reel creation. LOL. How long does it take to put something together, the ink personality style videos you do? I'm imagining that it seems so time consuming. Does your family help or do you just kick butt? Well, we know you kick butt, but does your family help?
Caleb my son has made an appearance in some reels, but besides that, I have a tripod and it's just me frantically like going through the house and like changing my sweatshirt, you know, and going over here to this area and then going over here to this area. The inks videos do take the most time out of all the reel videos that I do, and some more than others. And it's like sometimes I can record all the footage, and there's probably like a way more efficient way to do this. I'm probably like not doing this in the best way possible, because I just like have an idea in my head. I don't like write it out. I'm just like, oh, I think I want it to be like something like this. Then I record the videos, and it maybe takes me like less than 10 minutes, like sometimes like less than 5 minutes to just like record some things really quick. But then sometimes it will take me like an hour or 2 hours to like edit it. Of like less than 5 minutes worth of video stuff to like edit it all together. And, you know, sometimes less, sometimes more. But those inks videos do take time. And I was trying to do them like once a week, but even that was getting to be a lot because I work and I have kids and family stuff and whatever, but I try to do them when I can, squeeze them in. If I had all the time in the world, I would do them all the time because I have so much fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. This is not her question, just mine. What do you edit them on? Like the Instagram editor, or do you use a different one?
It depends. Most of my reels, I use just the Instagram reel editing tools because you can do quite a lot. Sometimes, though, on the tiny screen, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
And so I will use CapCut sometimes, which they have a free desktop software that you can download. And there's some things in there that I can do that I cannot do in Instagram. So depending on the video, like for example, if you want audio from one video to like overlap with the video with another video, if that made sense, like you can't do that in Instagram where the audio will overlap from one clip to another. So I'll do that in CapCut if I want to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say the Instagram Reel Editor, my hardest part is the audio with it. It just feels like it's very clunky and I can never get it to do what it wanted to do.
It's not great. It's not great.
But Christina also asks, I enjoy your musical theater background so much. You rock. Do you think having that background made casting easier or gave you a leg up? Because I feel like crossovers are many.
I think the crossovers are many. I do think that it gave me a leg, like a kick, like a Rockettes kick up, I guess.
One Rocket kick up.
Yes.
Sandra Archer asks, what is one of the most rewarding fan encounters you've had so far?
Okay. Can I talk about this for a minute?
Please.
I don't know what I was expecting. And I think you guys should answer this question too, because I know people were coming up to you guys in Chicago. I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't know that I was expecting people to really like come up to me, and people did. And I was just like, what? Like I had like, there's like this group of like 3, guys, competitive players that were in the challenge, and they were like walking by me, and one of them was like, you're Rebekah. And they were all just like, oh, hey, it's so cool to meet you. I was like, hey. I had somebody, like, I was going into the elevator of the hotel and somebody was coming out and they were like, oh my gosh, you're Rebekah. Can I take a picture with you? Sure, absolutely. And so it's just like small things like that. And I don't know, most rewarding. I don't know if there was a most rewarding, but I just thought it was really neat to see that like what I do resonates with people, that I can bring, a smile to their day. Like there's a lot of Lorcana content out there that's just like, the gameplay and strategy and deck list and all of that. And I think we're starting to see more casual content and like fun stuff, but there's still not a lot. And so the fact that people just like are excited about what I do, that they enjoy it, and that so much so that they would stop me to say hello, like that in itself is just really rewarding. And I'm so thankful, I guess. I don't know, like it's just so, it was unexpected to have multiple people come up, but I know people were to come up to you guys too. How was it for you guys?
So I'll say that like all of our listener encounters were super rewarding. So I'm sure you guys agree with this. Like, please come up and say hi to us. Like, it means so much to us.
Everyone is rewarding. Yeah. I know that's every single one was rewarding.
If I have to go for a most, the thing that was most rewarding is like the couple people who like mentioned their daughters and said like, oh, like my daughter is more comfortable in this space, or I'm more comfortable with my daughter being in this space because of listening to your content. Those are the ones that like squeeze my heart.
That's so sweet.
That is sweet.
It's like really weird to me to think of them as fans. Like it just feels weird. I like to think of just like they're friends.
Yeah, they're just friends.
Yes, they're just Lorcana friends.
Yeah,
they're Lorcana friends we haven't met yet.
Yeah, it was really cool. I don't know. I thought maybe a couple people might like recognize us and say hi or whatever. It was kind of a lot, and like, people just being like, love the podcast, or like one guy went past us and did like one of these things.
Aww.
And I was just like, oh my God, stop it.
love it. Okay, yes, for the listeners, that was like a bowing down action. Like,
Thank you. Someone remembered we're audio only.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Well, without her clarifying, it could have been a very rude gesture. We don't know. Oh, but everyone was so nice. It was wonderful, and I really loved like this just meeting people that we had like been talking to
Mhm.
online for months.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Rebecca, that video you took of me coming over to meet you for the first time, and I'm like crying. It's so funny because it felt like first look with like a bride and groom, where it's like, oh my god, it's you. Yeah.
I think I literally got a little teary eyed when I met you guys for the first time. I mean, because we've been talking for so long online, and
I mean, we talk
and like
almost every day.
I mean, it's a lot, and I've seen your faces. Like we know what each other looks like, and we talk. But no, it was so cool meeting you guys in person, and all the people that I've interacted with online. To be able to meet them in person was really, really neat. It was very cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the fan encounters were very special, all of them. And I don't think it's something that I would ever get used to. And yeah, it's just like you said, Katie, it's like they're all rewarding. So if I'm ever at a future event, please, and you see me, yes, come up and say hi because it's awesome.
Hey. Cinder Archer also asks, have you always been comfortable with public speaking?
Yeah, I think so, which goes back to my theater background. Like I said, I started doing theater when I was very young. And so I've kind of always been comfortable in front of people. What's funny though is I actually am more comfortable being in front of large. This sounds so weird. I'm more comfortable being in front of large groups of people than like small groups of people. Like if you asked me to speak in front of a group of like 8 people or 10 people all in a room, all like staring at me, I would be so nervous. Like it makes no sense, but
I could totally see that. If it's more people, there's like an anonymity to it.
Yeah.
It's like Katie and I used to do speech and debate in high school, and the way it would work is you would be in a room like every round with you and like 7 other people in your category or whatever. So it was very much that like there's 14 people there. And you like take turns performing in front of each other. But it really is that thing because like if your jokes aren't landing, like if you don't have it's just like those 12 people got all of it. Like it's just
yeah.
It's funny because we kind of do have a theater background. Like in addition to like speech and debate where we would perform acted scripts, I like took 3 years of theater and actually was often cast in roles and stuff. But I'm very comfortable being someone else in front of people. I'm not comfortable being myself in front of people. So I actually don't think it translates that much.
Okay, that is something that is very different. And as a performer, I will even say that it's taken me longer to be comfortable being myself in front of other people than it was to be somebody else. That is very true. And it is very different. Like if I put on a costume and a wig and I'm acting like a different person who has a completely different personality from myself, saying things that I would never say, and, trying to get a laugh or whatever. That is very different than being yourself in front of people. So there is a difference there. Yeah.
I can see that for sure.
But you did theater for 3 years?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I have no musical ability, unfortunately. So then I could never get into musicals or anything. But I always get cast in like the sarcastic role because I think I have natural sarcastic voice. But like I get typecast in sarcastic roles. But
I could see that.
Amazing.
I it's funny because nobody cares. I'm going to tell the story anyway. You can cut it. So I took theater in high school with you, but in college, I was having like a panic disorders when my panic disorder started sophomore year. And it was debilitating. Like like hours at a time, I was just having panic attacks and I didn't know what was wrong with me and all this stuff. And I was trying to like kind of, put myself in more uncomfortable situations to try to get myself like built back up. And so I did audition for a one act and I was in it.
Amazing.
In it. It's
There
crazy.
you go.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was crazy. I was a crotchety old lady, which is so also my brand. I'm also typecast.
Typecast is the crotchety old lady. That's funny. I also think, okay, we didn't talk about this, but with casting, I am an Enneagram type 3. And I think that my personality also just like, I think that some personalities are going to fall more naturally into being in front of people in this kind of way because when you're in front of people, you're going to be, or at least there's the fear of being judged, of being perceived, of being judged, of people having opinions about everything from what you look like to what you sound like, to your knowledge, to everything else. And so I do think that there's something to be said for even just like different people's personalities, that some people are going to feel more or less comfortable being in that space in front of other people in that kind of way.
Katie hates being perceived. She
Oh God, where is this going?
She wears, you can see she's wearing like a solid color right now. She bought a couple floral tops and wore one to work, and somebody complimented her on it. And she's like, I guess I can never wear this.
Never wear it again.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a true story. Oh my goodness, Katie.
Also, we learned she's a 1, so she's very difficult and bossy.
Yeah. Wow. Ones have a lot of really great attributes too, and really wonderful ways of perceiving the world.
Haven't seen them lately, Katie.
Just kidding. My best friend, everybody.
Oh my goodness.
That's a 9 for you. I'm just kidding. That wasn't very 9 of me.
I'm gonna link to the testing in the show notes if you want to know what we're talking about and do this personality test.
Yay! Now here's some listener questions for all of us, even though we also answered all of Rebekah's. Cameron, our Lorcana curator, asks, if you were an actual illumineer, what would your 2 ink colors be and what would your inkcaster look like?
Mine, okay, I always go back to the ink colors and what they're like kind of correspond to. So like sapphire glimmers are intellectual, and then amber glimmers are like patient and dedicated. So I'm going to go with those 2 as my ink colors.
For you?
Yeah. What is with you today?
I'm on a roll.
She's on a roll.
Sorry. Okay, I'm done.
No, but to Becky's excellent point earlier, as for what it would look like, it would probably be as basic as possible and just like really want to blend.
Just like a wooden stick.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Little gems on it. Yeah, that's fair. I see myself as amber as well, personality wise. I don't think I'm sapphire. I think I think I'm maybe amethyst. Maybe. What do you think? Do you want to read those again for us?
Amethyst glimmers are wondrous, otherworldly ink.
Check.
They use their special powers to achieve their aims.
What's emerald?
Emerald glimmers are flexible, gifted with the ability to adapt to changing circumstances.
Okay. That's
and
me.
never caught off guard.
Yeah, that's totally you.
I'm amber, emerald, and my caster. You know what I think would be like super cool is this isn't really a like a hobby I have, but like if you had crochet needles and like you like weave them together to like summon stuff. I don't know. That's where I'm at. I mean, Martin has his little guitar. It's the same thing, but
yes,
pointy. Rebecca?
Okay, I think I would go with amethyst, and I don't know what else. Maybe amber. Amethyst and amber.
Amber team. Amber is very a woman-coded ink, let's be honest.
Purposeful, dedicated. I mean, a little bit. Persistent. Work with in communities. Okay. Yeah, so I would go with amber and amethyst. Amethyst and amber. And I think for my ink caster, I would want it to be some kind of like microphone thing for
That'd be
like
so
singing.
cute.
I don't know like what it could like look like really cool, whatever. But yes,
Mhm.
I'll join my Martin. He can play the guitar and I will sing along with him.
That'd be so cute. I love that. I think a microphone ink caster would be amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
You can dramatically have like the wire from it in your
The
other hand.
wire.
Yeah.
Yes.
So cool.
Like swing it around.
It's like you both had such good answers. I'm like, I've got a stick.
Katie's like, I got a stick. I got a stick. My magic stick. Oh, maybe like a watch would be cool for you. Like something like a little wrist thing.
Yeah, there
like,
you go.
People don't really
Mhm.
notice it. There you
Okay,
go.
I like that. Yeah.
It's like understated, like subtle. Mhm.
Yeah. Naturally Nani for says, how does it feel to see your Pegasus card reveal finding its place in the meta? And same question for Rebekah with Cursed Merfolk.
So Curse Merfolk definitely saw a lot of play last set, and it was always really cool. Whenever I saw it turn 1, I was like, I know that card. It's so silly, but every time I saw it, I was like, there's the card that I revealed. I don't know. There's just something really cool about seeing the card that I got to reveal played, like when I go to my local league and like my son has it in his deck and everything. And I'm like, that's so special. That's really cool. Like what a cool like core memory,
Absolutely. It's funny because like I feel the same with Pegasus Cloud Racer. And it's like I had nothing to do with that card, but I do feel like a little bit of an attachment to it. Like but it's always really fun to see. Katie, are you running any in your Emerald Steel deck?
I have multiple versions of it, but some of them do have the Pegasus. Yeah, I really should just play it. I even get excited when I see like the 1-drop Pegasus. I'm like, it could be coming. So
Plus he's adorable.
Oh,
Yes.
baby Pegasus is too cute. But I associate Cursed Merfolk with you, Rebekah, and I think of you every
Same.
time I play it. So
every time. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Oh, no. I'm just so thankful for you both and your podcast and what you do, honestly. And I hope that you just keep going because it is like the Lorcana community space would not be the same without you guys. So I'm so thankful for you guys and thankful that you're having me on to talk and chat and everything. Like you guys are awesome. And I won't speak for everyone in the community, but for my part, like really, truly thankful for you guys.
But you know how thankful we are for you. We gassed you up quite a bit today. And it was all true. No lies detected. But you're wonderful. And I'm so glad we reached out to you the first time to talk. And I'm so glad that, we kind of formed like a little friendship. We would like occasionally just be like, hey, did you notice X? And then we kind of just started talking more. And it's been really special. And I really do consider you like definitely a friend and
a friend. Same.
Thank you for coming to hang out with us.
Always. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hey, Katie, who is our featured creator this week?
Our featured creator is IllumiQueer Lindz, which is a great name, by the way. Lindz is a very talented competitive player, and she has a Twitch channel where she streams webcam games. I know there's kind of been a lull in streaming Lorcana content with Pixelborn gone, but Lindz has been streaming regularly from webcam for a while now. She has a really good setup where you can see hers and her opponent's playmat and everything. The deck list she's playing is up there for you to see as well, and there's always a lot of good information and fun banter on her streams. But in addition to all that, Lindz is an awesome community member. She's very active on Twitter and Discord and shares great insights about deck building. And she's a moderator on the Love to Lore Discord, which is awesome. Thank you for doing that, Lindz.
Yay.
I'm glad that you brought Lindz because I am so obsessed with her right now. She's like, I didn't watch much streaming previously, but she just like knows her stuff so well, and she's just
Oh,
so
yeah.
engaging and wonderful. Like I love her so much.
I got to play a game with her the other day on
Did
webcam.
Oh,
I
did-
did. And in Real Play Network, I hopped in. And so that was my first Real Play Network webcam game, and I played with her. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
She beat me.
Well,
She's very good.
so be sure to check out IllumiQueer Lindz on Twitter and Twitch. Rebekah, be sure to tell all the people where they can find you.
All the people can find me a little bit over on Twitter at the Illuminary, but I mostly hang out over on Instagram, having lots of fun at lorcana.illuminary. And also on Discord. I hang out in the LLL Discord a lot.
Also, let's just gas Rebekah up that she has 4,500 followers on Instagram. So you go, girl.
Talk about reach.
I do. I have. Oh,
Amazing.
can I say this? Okay.
Yeah.
You can leave this in. Is I am. Let's see here. I'm actually over 4,600 followers on Instagram right now, and I have a big giveaway planned for when I reach 5,000. So I'm like stoked about reaching that milestone because that's huge. I can't even wrap my mind around that, and I'm so excited. And I'm going to do a big giveaway when I hit 5,000. So if you aren't following, join so you don't miss out on the giveaway.
Yay. I love it. Well, that was our show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram. We have a YouTube. It's just this, but on YouTube. We also started doing some reels on Instagram, and they are something. So you could check those out if you want to. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And we have a Discord, and it's really great and special, and you should come hang out with us.
Yep. And until next time, remember to live, laugh, and lore.